Welcome back to our third day of training. My name is Sean Rhodes and I'll be your trainer today. Before we get started, I do need to read a disclaimer, so let me go ahead and take care of that now. Today's training is designed to instruct in some of the basics of Metastock. We'll be providing some guidelines for using certain features within our software. However, nothing presented in this training is intended as, or should be construed to be, a recommendation to buy or sell any specific security. The information, software, and techniques presented today should only be used by investors who are aware of the risks inherent in trading. Equus shall hold no liability for any investment decisions based on the use of our software or any trading strategies or information provided in connection with our company. That stated, welcome back to day 3, as I said. Today we'll be introducing 4 concept areas of Metastock. First we'll be discussing layouts and how we can use those to save time and improve our use of Metastock. Next I'll be moving on to templates and their usages. Then I'll be introducing 2 of the power tools of Metastock. We've gone over a little bit of the indicator builder, but I'm going to go into it a little bit more depth and show you how to actually create a custom indicator. Next I will then be ending up with the Enhanced System Tester, which will allow us to go through a back test for trading systems, and that is what we'll be going over today. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I wanted to talk to you about today is layouts. Now, a layout is a special file. It has a .mwl extension. A layout records the symbols, data path, and various other information about multiple charts that you want to open at the same time. In the very least, you have to have 2 charts to make up a layout. Now, there are 2 types of layouts. There is what's called a multiple security layout, and a multiple security layout is a layout that contains 2 or more securities, each with different symbols. For instance, you may have a portfolio of 10 stocks that you're currently trading, and you could create this type of a layout to bring them all up at once. Let's go ahead and bring up Metastock, and once again I am using Metastock for end-of-day Reuters data link, but it's pretty much the same thing if you were to be using Quote Center or the professional version of Metastock. It would just be different symbols, but the process for creating and using layouts is the same. So let's go ahead and I'm going to show you a quick example of a multiple security layout. Alright, so here's a multiple security layout. You can see at the title bar of each of these securities, I'm looking at 4 different securities: the Euro-Russian Ruble, the IBM Ordinary, Microsoft Ordinary, and Google Ordinary. So there is a quick example of that. Let's go ahead and close that now and switch back to our presentation. The next type of a layout is called a multi-view layout. This is the layout that has only 1 ticker symbol's worth of data, but the data is presented in multiple ways. So let's go ahead and switch back once again, and I will show you an example of that. So here in Metastock, we'll go back to File Open, and we'll open up a multiple security layout, or multi-view layout. So as you can see, here we're looking at IBM in 4 different frames. We're looking at a monthly chart, a weekly chart, quarterly, and daily, and we have some different indicators drawn on some of these. This is what's called a multiple view layout. So let's go ahead and close this. And let's quickly throw together a multiple security layout so that you can see how it's done. So the first thing you have to do is go to File, Open, or click on the Open box here at the little folder. Click on your data vendor, and then simply bring up your charts just like you always do. So we'll bring up a chart for IBM, we'll bring up one for Google, Microsoft, and we'll even bring up a future this time. So gold, we'll do gold. Alright, those are the 4 securities we're going to grab and click Open. Now, even though we have 4 securities selected, because one of them is a future, it's going to ask us the specifics about that future. We'll do continuous this time, but you could bring up multiple months contracts if you wanted, if you work with futures. Let's go ahead and click OK, and we'll bring up our 4 charts. Now, we have 4 charts on the screen now. Let's go ahead and arrange them how we want them to be shown on the screen. To do that, there's a few different ways. You can move them around, you can adjust them, or you can choose one of the pre-selected ways by going to Window and choose one of these options. I'm going to go ahead and use Tile because it evenly disperses them across the screen. Let's go ahead and make a couple quick changes just so we know that what we're looking at is something unique. Go ahead and change the background color. Change this one so the volume is red. Change this one to candlesticks. Plot a moving average. Alright, so there's some mild changes so we can kind of tell that this is ours. Once we have the 4 securities that we want plotted on our screen, then we simply go to File, New, Layout, and the Layout dialog here appears. This gives us a list of all of the available charts that we can add to our layout. To add them, we can either do them one at a time, or we can simply click Add All if all of the charts are wanted in our layout. Then we click OK. We've now created a layout. As you can see, the name on the top of these securities have all changed. They're all now part of layout number 1. Now, we haven't yet saved this layout, and I'll go over that in just a moment. But it's important to note that just because it's created doesn't mean it's accessible yet. Let's quickly walk through now how to create a multiple view layout. So let's go ahead and close these. We'll go to File, Open. Creating a multiple view layout is much the same as creating a multi-security, but you just open up one security. So we'll do IBM again, and actually this time let's do Microsoft, just so you can see it's a little bit different than what I did before. Okay, so here is our smart chart for Microsoft. Now, in order to open multiple copies of Microsoft, we simply need to go to Window, New Window. Each time we do that, it opens up another copy of the security we're looking at. So now we have 4 copies of Microsoft open. We'll go ahead and click the Tile button and arrange them across the screen. Now, we can take each of these extra windows and change them any way we want. So let's go ahead and change this one to weekly. We'll change this to candlesticks. Make these red. Change the background up here to some weird blue color. Zoom in a bit. And change this to quarterly. Then we'll change this one to yearly. And we'll make it a line graph. Plot a moving average on it. Okay, so we've obviously made a few changes to this. So now, in order to create a layout, once again, now that we have all of the charts how we want them, we go to File, New, Layout, add all of the charts we want, in this case all of them, and click OK. It will change the name of our title bar to Layout 2 because it's the second layout we've opened this period. Now, in order to save this layout, we now have to go to File, Save As, and give this layout a unique name. You'll notice that the Save As type will automatically be Layout if you're looking at a layout. We'll call it Tuesday MultiView. It looks like I've created one of these in another class, so we'll just save over the top of it. And you'll see now that the name has changed to Tuesday MultiView, and there is a .mwl extension, meaning we're looking at a layout. And you can see it at the top as well. Let's go ahead and close this now and go through what it takes to open a layout. Now, layouts are by default saved into the Charts folder. That's on the C drive under Program Files, Equus, Metastock, Charts. So to access your layout, you simply need to go to File, Open, change the files of type to Layouts, and it will automatically put you in your Charts folder. From within here, you'll see all of your layouts that you've saved. Just grab the one that you're wanting and click Open. When you do so, it will open up your layout just as you saved it. And once again, we have our yearly, quarterly, weekly, daily, with all of those little changes we made to these securities. So that's the basics of layouts. The next thing I wanted to go over with you is templates. So let's go ahead and close this, and we'll go back for a moment to my PowerPoint screen. A template is a special file with an extension of .mwt, which records the formatting necessary to generate a chart, or a group of charts, with a particular appearance. So this may include various indicators. It can include the colors and styles, the periodicities, and or even expert advisors that you have attached to your chart. Whatever happens to be on the chart from which the template was made is what's going to make up the settings for the template. So the templates are by default also saved into that same charts folder, C:\program files /equus /metastock /charts. It's the same location as the layouts, but they have a .mwt extension. So there are different purposes for the different types of template. There are two major types of templates. There is the default template, and there are custom named templates. Let's go ahead and go first of all over the default template and get a basic understanding of what that is. Metastock needs a basic template from which all your new charts and smart charts are generated. At installation, the initial default template is designed to create a very simple high-low close bar chart with a volume indicator attached at the bottom. The customer can then overwrite the existing default template, though, at any time. So if at any time you want to change your default template so your new charts come up with some new setting, you can do so. The next type of template is called the custom named template. Because you can have only one default template, we've created custom name templates because you can have any number of custom name templates as long as you come up with a unique name for each one. There are two types of custom name templates. There is the single chart template, which is the most common type of template produced from and intended to generate a single chart. So if you have a single chart template, it works on one chart. The last type of template is a custom name template called a layout template. We just learned what layouts are. Now, these templates actually are all of the settings included in a layout. Generally, they produce a multi-view layout. Once again, that's a layout with one security in multiple views. As they are particularly helpful for scanning watch lists of stocks, you can set indicators and settings. So basically, that layout we created from Microsoft, we could take all of those settings that we created around the layout and apply them to a different security, say IBM, which would allow us to view IBM with a daily, weekly, quarterly, yearly, and have all of those indicators and colors and changes apply to that security. It can be really useful to have that kind of a setting. And you do that with a layout template. So let's go ahead and switch back to Metastock and go over the basics of these templates. The first type of template that I want to go over is the default template. Now, the first thing I want to show you is how to generate a default template. It's actually not that difficult. Let's go ahead and open up a security. Here's IBM with some very basic settings. So, to create a default template of your own, all you have to do is open a chart and make some changes. So let's go ahead and change this to candlesticks. And we'll change the color to red. We'll zoom in a bit. Then we'll change the background color to black. We'll change the background color down here to, I don't know, gray. Alright, so there's some basic changes. We'll plot a moving average in there. We'll make it blue. And why don't we even throw in a relative strength index just to spice it up a bit. Alright, so there's some little changes that we've now made to our security. In order to create this as a default template, all you have to do is right-click and go down to Save as Default Template. It will then ask you, do you want to replace the existing default template? Because there can only be one default template at a time, in order to have this as a default template, you will have to say yes. So we have now created our new default for our security. Now, there are three ways to open a default template, to apply it to a chart. The easiest way is to simply go to File, and instead of going to Open, go to File, New, Chart. What File New does is it always uses the default template. So even if there's a smart chart already existing, it's going to open up any security you choose with the default template. So let's go ahead and open up, let's try Google. We've seen it earlier, didn't have much setting to it, but we'll now open it. And sure enough, there's our default template we just created applied to Google. Alright, the next way that you can apply the default template is to go to File, Open, type in the symbol that you're wanting, and go to Options, Open with Template. From here you simply scroll down, find Default in the list, and click Open. This will open your template on your chart. So here we have, once again, Microsoft with our new default template. Alright, so let's go ahead and close this. And let me show you the last way that you can use the default template. Let's go ahead and open back up Google. And it should have its old smart chart that we've saved in the past. The last way to apply the default template is once you have a chart already open, you simply right-click on the chart, go to Apply Template, and choose Default Template from the list. And click Open. It will then reopen your security with the default template. So it's important to note that when you have a security that's already been opened with a previous default template, or if you have a security or chart that you've saved or that has a smart chart already saved, the default template and changes you make to it will not apply to all of the previously saved and created charts and smart charts. It's only going to apply to the new charts and smart charts that you are opening. Now there is a secret, though, that I wanted to show you of how you can get around that. If you want to apply your new default template across the board, besides going to File, New, you can actually go out and delete all of the smart charts so that when the charts open again, they have to use the default template and create a new smart chart. The easiest way to do that, let me see if I can actually share for you my desktop. Give me just one moment. Well, it doesn't look like it's letting me share that. But what you can do is simply click on Start and go to Search. Do a search for all files and folders. Let me bring the search over here and you might be able to see it. Click on All Files and Folders and do a search for MS Smart and search your C drive. When you do this, it's going to search for all of the folders that contain smart charts. In particular, if you use the Data on Demand feature, you're going to find a Smart Chart folder, MS Smart, within the Data on Demand cache folder. All you have to do to set all of those to the default template is simply delete the ones that exist. So simply come in, grab the MS Smart folder, and delete it by hitting delete on your keyboard. What this will do is delete all of the smart charts in that folder. So then when you come back into Metastock and you open up any security with Data on Demand, it has no choice but to use the default settings once again for its smart charts. And voila, there's our Google with our new default template. Now, you can also modify your default template, and it's relatively easy to do so. You simply come in here and you make the changes you want. Let's go ahead and set this back to bars. We'll change the inner window back to white. And we'll delete our moving average. We'll close this inner window up here and set this inner window back to white too. Now, to modify our default template, we do the same thing. That's right, it's exactly the same as when you created it in the beginning. You simply right-click, go to Save as Default Template, and click OK. And that will then replace this new setting as the new default template. Now, the other type of template I wanted to go over with you are the custom named templates. The custom named templates allow us to create as many as we want, just as long as we have a unique name for each one. To create a custom name template, it's pretty much the same process. You simply make the changes to your chart. We'll make this one a Kaji chart. We'll make the chart red and green, or red and black. And we'll change this down here so that its line styles are dotted. And we'll change the background color to black. So as you can see, there's obviously some changes you can make in customizing this. Now, if I wanted to save this as a custom named template, so maybe something I want to apply to a few select securities, but not necessarily across the board, now all I have to do is go to File, Save As, and change the Save As type to Template. Simply then give it a name, and we'll call it our Tuesday template, and click Save. Go ahead and close that. We won't save that. We'll bring back up IBM, and in order to apply that template, there's a few different ways. You can either open the security, right-click, go to Apply Template, and find it in the list. There it is, Tuesday template. Or, closing that, you can go to File, Open, choose your symbol, and go to Options, Open with Template, and choose it from the list here. And that's as basic as it gets with the with the single chart templates. The next type of template is the layout template. Let's go ahead and bring back up our multiple view layout that we used earlier. So, once again, we go to File, Open, change the type to Layouts, bring up the multi-view that we created, and we want these settings to apply to some other security. So we have to save this as a custom template. So we go to File, Save As, and instead of saving it as a layout, we're going to save this as a template. And we will call this the Tuesday night, we'll call it Tuesday night multi-template. There we go. You can give it any unique name. So, you can now close this Microsoft chart. Go to File, Open. And this time we'll go in and we'll grab IBM again. And this time we'll choose to do the Options, Open with Template, which is the same as we did before, and find the Tuesday Night Multi-Template and click Open. And sure enough, there's IBM in the same exact layout that we had created for Microsoft. That can be incredibly useful if you're wanting to look through a watch list of securities in this multiple view setting. So that's the basics of the layouts that I wanted to go over with you. The next thing I wanted to discuss with you are a little bit more depth about the indicator builder. So first of all, it's important to remember what the indicator builder actually is. Let's go ahead and bring up just a basic chart of IBM again. The indicator builder can be accessed two different ways. You can access it by clicking on the little F function key here on the toolbar, or by going to Tools, Indicator Builder. And we walked through a little bit of this in class 2, but I wanted to go into it a little bit more depth. So with all the built-in indicators that Metastock offers, you may be wondering why you'd ever want to create your own indicators. Well, technical analysis is constantly evolving, and so the hot new indicators of today soon overshadow the ones of yesterday. And maybe you will read in the future or have already read about a new indicator that in a trade magazine or in a new book, and chances are you'll be able to create those indicators that you found in the indicator builder here. For this reason, Metastock provides a powerful tool called the Indicator Builder, which is what we're looking at now, that lets you create those custom indicators. So a custom indicator is just a logical arrangement of mathematical functions that work on data arrays to produce values that can be plotted on charts. So Metastock has a special set of those functions, and we call it the Metastock formula language. So here within the Indicator Builder, let me go ahead and go through the buttons that are available to you. The main window here shows you a list of all of the indicators in alphanumerical order. These are just the custom indicators, not the ones that are pre-built in, like volume or relative strength index. Now, just because it's a custom indicator doesn't mean that you created it. We add many custom indicators into our program, just so that you'll have access to many of the hot new indicators when the program is released. On the right, you'll have a Close button. The Close button closes the Indicator Builder. New, this is a button that allows you to create new custom indicators. Edit, this allows you to edit an existing indicator that you have selected. Copy, this makes a copy of a selected indicator. Delete, delete lets you delete the custom indicator you currently have chosen. Be careful not to delete the ones that you want that were included when the program was installed, because oftentimes the only way to get them back is to reinstall. Print, this lets you print the actual custom indicator formula. So printing here is pretty useful if that's what you're wanting to accomplish. If you have details about the printing setup, then just use your help function, which is down below. And lastly, the organizer button. This is a very important button for backing up your custom formulas. You can use this to import and export explorations, system tests, indicators, and expert advisors. If you use the export function, you can save it somewhere safe, like on a CD or on your hard drive somewhere where you're not constantly going in and making changes. Then if you ever have problems with your program and you have to reinstall, you can then re-import using the same organizer button from that location. It's a great way also to help you move formulas from one computer to another. This also gives you the option to password protect your custom formulas. So if you do make a backup, you can protect them by passwords so that others can't steal your formulas. Let's go ahead and click New and go through the options available when you're creating a new indicator. So, you can give first of all, any name that you want to your custom indicator. The name has to be up to 50 characters long, but can be anything that's unique. So let's go ahead and call it Tuesday Custom Indicator. The next option here is the display in quick list. You put a check in this if you want the name of the custom indicator you've just created to appear in your quick list, which I'm pointing to with my mouse right now. Once it's in the quick list, it can be then drag and dropped just like any other indicator. The next field is the formula field. This is where you'll enter in the Metastock formula language, which tells the indicator what it is to do. A simple formula might be something as simple as H equals L divided by 2. And this is just a basic indicator for a horizontal line using the low divided by 2. Now, the next option here is the functions key. This lets you bring up a menu which will have paste functions, giving you the option to include all of the different formula language within Metastock. If you know exactly what you're looking for, it's easy to find here. You can also search by category. But whichever one you do, if you click on it, it then puts the formula language into your formula here and then lets you fill in the blanks. So for instance, if I was wanting for a logical and I wanted a greater than or equal, it would fill that in for me. But for now, that's all we need here in our custom formula. Let's go ahead and click OK. And we've now created the Tuesday custom indicator. Let's go ahead and close that. And you'll notice now that that has appeared in our quick list at the top. A custom indicator can be plotted on a chart just like any of the other custom indicators. So you simply put your mouse over the box, drag it down, and choose whether or not you want to plot it in its own inner window, or if you want to plot it on the top of your price bars. For what we're doing now, let's go ahead and drop it here on the top of our price bars. And sure enough, there is our horizontal line that we created with our custom indicator. Now, you can add a custom indicator also in a system tester, in the Explorer, or even the Expert Advisor. And there's a few different methods. You can use the copy and paste to completely grab the formula and paste it into them, or you can use the reference formula function call, FML, to actually call upon your custom indicator within those other power tools of Metastock. Let me go ahead and switch now back to our slideshow for just a moment, and we'll go over a little bit about the formula language and how you can get some additional help if you're wanting to use it. The first thing I suggest if you're wanting help using the formula language is to start with the Formula Tutorial Primer. This is something that you can find on our website, and here is the link. You can also simply go to the equus.com website, click Support, and scroll down near the bottom. You'll see a link for the Formula Primer there as well. This is going to walk you through in a tutorial of the basics of using the Metastock formula language, and it's pretty effective at teaching you the basics. Once you've done that, if you'd like to take a look at some of the formulas used in some of the existing custom indicators, here is a link that will get you there. Also, formula functions have a short explanation in the manual, which can give you a bit of an idea or a place to get started when writing your own formulas. Now, because of the complexity of custom development of formulas, we do no formula writing over the phone or over our online chat. So we instead ask you to email our formula team at formulas@equus.com with a detailed explanation of your request. 99.9% of the time, you're going to have free assistance with the Metastock formula language. But in the case that your formula is ever so complex that it needs a lot of hours put in, you'll be notified in advance if there's ever going to be a fee attached to creating your custom formula. At the end of class, I'd be happy to bring this back up again so you guys can see, once again, these links if you didn't get enough time to see them now. So, The last thing I wanted to go over with you today is the Enhanced System Tester. System testing involves the development and testing of trading systems to determine the system's historical profitability. System testing helps us answer the question of, if I had traded this security using these trading rules, how much money would I have made or lost in the past? So you can use Metastock to write trading systems using your own trading rules. You can use it to test your trading systems. You can use Metastock to examine the test results by plotting buy and sell arrows and equity lines, and by examining tabular reports. You can use Metastock to automatically optimize parameters within your trading rules to improve your results. And you can use Metastock to compare trading systems to find out which trading systems work best on a particular security. So to access the Enhanced System Tester, we'll go ahead and bring up Metastock once again and close this chart of IBM. You can access it a few different ways. You can click on the small $sign at the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, down by the NUM key. You can also access it up on the main toolbar by clicking on the $sign there. You can also access it by going to Tools, Enhanced System Tester. Any one of these options will bring up the Enhanced System Tester screen. Here we see the Enhanced System Tester System View screen. Now, I'm going to go over the components of this screen and generally work from a left to right, top to bottom approach, so you can kind of follow along. On the topmost line at the left is the name of the current dialog, Enhanced System Tester System View. Each screen and dialog that you're going to go into in the Enhanced System Tester will have a name in this same position, and it's a good idea to pay attention to these. In particular, if you're wanting to contact support with questions about the Enhanced System Tester, referring to these dialogues may become very helpful in helping us find exactly what you're looking at. Next, on the topmost line at the right are the three standard Windows buttons. We have the Minimize, which is grayed out, Maximize, or Restore, and Close. The next line down has a few new options that are similar to the custom indicator builder that we were just looking at. We have New System, which allows you to create a new system. Edit, which lets you edit an existing system you have selected. Copy lets you create a copy of a system so you can make changes to it and not change your original. Delete allows you to delete a security or system. And Organizer. The Organizer button accesses the same organizer tool that the indicator builder uses to allow you to import and export your custom formulas. On the right side of this same screen, we have the Options button. This lets you set some options for your system testing that kind of apply across the board for all of your systems. Print. This allows you to print out settings here on this page for particular systems. And Help. I can't emphasize enough how useful the Help button is when going through different screens that you're not fully aware. By clicking on Help, you'll get a detailed information about each of the different areas of the screen you're looking at. Below that, we have the Summary window. This is going to give us a brief information about previously run systems, plus a graphical pie chart and more information about your usage of hard drive space, because system tests can oftentimes use a lot of space. On the left, we have a list of all of the systems in alphanumerical order. And then below and on the right, we have trading simulations, which includes the number of simulations you've run in the past, the name of them, the number of results they received, the status of that simulation, and the date that it was run. Finally, below that, we have the New Simulation button, which lets us create a new simulation, View, which lets us view the results of a selected simulation, Cancel closes the Enhanced System Tester, and Discard deletes the simulation. So depending on which option you choose from this initial screen, you'll get a number of subordinate screens or submenus. Because time is limited here today, I'll be going over only a limited view of what each screen has to offer. You can always use the help options, however, on each page to get a lot more details about that page. For now, we're going to have to ignore the menu bar, which is where it goes through New System, Edit, Copy, etc. It's very similar in its own way to the indicator builder, but it is for system tests, where you will input and enter your custom formulas. What we do have time today for is a new simulation where we're going to actually show you how to create and test a backtest. So to begin the backtesting process, we need to run a simulation. To do that, we'll click on the New Simulation button. This first screen here is going to list all of the systems once again that we can run in our simulation. Today we'll go ahead and scroll through and we'll find the Equus MACD Expert System. It's a relatively simple pre-built system test that will give us some good results for our example. So note the bottom buttons. There's a back button that lets us go back in the display of our selection for our simulation. Next brings us to the next screen in the simulation to select more options. If you click Start, it will start the simulation and use whatever selections you created or used in your last simulation. So if you don't have any changes to make, then you would just click Start. Cancel closes this, and Help will bring you more details about this screen. Let's go ahead and click Next and go to the next screen. The next screen here is the Select Securities screen. This is where we tell Metastock which of the different securities we want to scan in our simulation. Right now we just have IBM selected. Let's go ahead and remove that, and we'll go to Add Securities. Now, when you're running a system test, it goes a little bit faster if you run your system test on local data. So I'm going to go ahead and go into local data. I'm going to go into the S&P 500 folder, and I'm going to run my scan on the S&P 500. So I'm going to hit Control A and highlight all of the S&P 500 and click Open. So now we have all of the S&P 500 selected for scanning. Now, that particular dialog for selecting securities is much like the Open dialog that you've all been a little bit more familiar with, and so it works a lot in the same way. You can go from data on demand to local data and navigate around your hard drive. Next thing we need to do is set the date range that we want to scan. By default, right now it's selecting 1250 periods. That's a bit much for what we're wanting today, so let's go ahead and change that. And let's have it only load 250 periods from the last date that they have downloaded. You can change that number, of course, to anything, and you can even specify an exact date range and give it from when to when if you'd like to scan that way. But for today's purposes, 250 should be enough. Alright, now we're ready to move on. We'll click Next. Next screen is the System Testing Options screen. It has a number of fields and inputs that you need to choose. For a complete description of each of these items, so you have a pretty good understanding, I would once again suggest using the Help button to go over details about what each of these are. For today, we'll just go ahead and set a few basic parameters, and we'll leave, first of all, the points only test blank, because this is not a future, so we'll be using actual money. Next, we'll be going down to the initial equity, and we'll leave that at 10,000. That's a good value for a default. The default size is, we'll use the percent of available equity, and we'll leave that at 100%. Some people like to set that at 80% or 50%, basically the percentage of each trade, how much of their equity they're willing to spend. But 100% is fine for today. In the portfolio area, you can choose whether or not to use long trades or short trades, and we'll in this case use both. And we'll have it close all positions on the last bar. Under the results here, we'll make sure to leave quick test unchecked because we want a complete test. And we'll find the most 5 profitable results. Now I'm going to click on More. I'm not going to change anything in here, but I wanted to at least show you that you can come in and change these settings. You can set things for your interest rate margins, your margin requirements, your commissions. You can go in the trade execution and set it to realistic price, or you can set the exact buy and sell prices, or slippages. Once you have all of this selected, you simply click Next again, and you're given the option to name your simulation. We'll name it Tuesday night. And once again, just as a quick review, it shows us which securities we're scanning and under what system we're scanning them. Once we have it all ready to go, we click Start. Everything minimizes and comes down to the bottom right-hand corner, and we see a currently processing screen. Here we see a percentage, the time elapsed, and it gives us the last evaluated price and the best so far in the simulation. You can leave that open, but what's nice about this is that it allows you to actually cancel it or minimize it by clicking on this little down arrow, so you can go about your different things within the program. And you still get a little progress bar, as you can see with these little green arrows. Once you have it finished, you can bring back up your results by simply going back into the Enhanced System Tester. You can either show the status by clicking on the green arrow and do Show Status, or simply bring back up the tester itself. So here it is. You can see that it's still running. It's almost finished. Let's go ahead and see how it's doing. It's almost to 400. Excellent. So, if you actually leave this open, you'll have the option to view the results from here. That will bring up the results screen. If for some reason you've closed that, however, you can always return to the System Tester, grab the page of your simulation, and click View, and it will bring up the same results. This is going to give us an overview of all of the securities we tested and give us a graph of how they did. We can sort this by any of the different categories. We can have it sorted alphanumerically here by clicking on Security. We could sort by symbol, periodicity, or what most people do, sort by profit or percentage gain. That's the least profitable, and that's the most profitable. So as we can see, Gateway Ordinary looks like it was the most profitable in this particular scan. So, in order to view the details of Gateway Ordinary, we simply double-click, and it brings up the results page. This gives us 5 different categories of report. We have a summary report giving us the details of what happened during that test, an orders report, a position report, an equity report, and a system report. With the results here, it's very useful, and I recommend again going through the help functions, and so you can get the details of what each of these different things mean. If you're looking at the summary and you don't know what annualized performance means, you can click on Help, and it will tell you what the summary page annualized performance means. So that's very useful when you're going around this to remember your help function. Also, if you ever need help evaluating your system results, you should know that you can save each of these 5 reports as an HTML file, which is basically a web page or a small picture for a web page, and send it to us via email. With these reports, we can then bring up the simulation and bring it up on our system so we can fully evaluate what you're doing. To do that, all you have to do is on any of these reports go to Save, and it will automatically be saving it as a web page. You simply give it a name, result report, or whatever you want, and save it, and then email it to support@equus.com, and that will come to us. So we don't have time to go into the edit for this particular session. Let me go ahead and close that. But we do encourage you to go to New System, and click Help so you can go through the different screen options available to you in the In-System Editor. This is where you will be entering in your formulas for your custom-made system tests. And if you have any questions as you're going along, feel free to direct those questions to our support team at support@equus.com or call us on the phone at 801-265-9998. So that's all we'll be going over today, but at this point you should be familiar with the basics of using templates, layouts, the indicator builder for creating custom-made indicators, and the system test for doing system backtesting. So please review the objectives we outlined earlier, and if you have any questions at all, feel free to direct these to our support group.